Thanks everyone for coming. I'm Peter from the Web3 Foundation. We work closely with Parity Technologies to bring Polkadot to life. And great, cool. So generally, like speaking from a high-level perspective, the Web3 Foundation has been brought to has been established to bring Web3 to life. And what we understand by Web3 is basically a framework for building decentralized applications. When we write an application, of course, we in a decentralized setting, we can make use of the capabilities of the different protocols that we have available. So we have maybe IPFS to store the file. We have one blockchain that has privacy-preserving transactions, like a Zcash chain. We have one chain maybe to incentivize storage. Maybe there might be a Filecoin chain, or any other chain that provides us with capabilities. Or there is a peer-to-peer messaging protocol like Whisper. But then what is really important is we want to make use of all those different protocols when a user uses the application. So all those protocols have to run under the hood when I use my decentralized application, let's say on the phone. And this becomes really important because as we have this explosion of different decentralized protocols, we oftentimes might need to rely on multiple, like a lot of the different ones. And if we are not careful, we might end up with a protocol stack or a stack of technologies that is very hard to build on top of and very hard to actually serve to the users that we want to serve those decentralized applications. And the other problem that we have is that we have a lot of innovation, especially in the blockchain space, where we want to build new blockchains that have new characteristics. But many of those blockchains actually don't differ all that much. So they all need to provide networking. They need to provide some sort of consensus. What they mostly differ on is the state machine. So basically, how does the state look like? How do the transactions look like? And how do you get from one state to another? And really, in the attempt to kind of make a more general framework for writing different chains, we support the development of the Parity Substrate. So we want to reduce the overhead to develop a new blockchain, and we want to make it easy to build and experiment with all kinds of blockchains. And we want to make use of the building blocks that are already there. So we don't want it to rebuild all the elements that are underneath. So that's why Parity Substrate relies on P2P that you will hear about later today, and it tries to make use of the state-of-the-art consensus and use a standard state computation description language, which is WebAssembly, that hopefully Fred will talk about more. But even now we start experimenting and are building all those different chains, there is still a big problem. We want all those chains to be secure, and we want them to communicate with each other, because without that, the more chains we have, the less secure each of those chains will be. And also we want all those chains to run underneath our decentralized applications to be able to provide capabilities to those applications. So we might want a very fast transaction confirmations, and we might use a Blink parachain, or we might want to have privacy preserving transactions. Then we might use a Zcash like parachain, or just general smart contracts with an Ethereum like parachain. And so this is where Polkadot comes in. It comes in order to bring this common layer. It doesn't provide any functionality in itself, but it allows all those different chains to share security and enables them to communicate with each other. And what is really important is not only it's flexible to support many different kinds of chains, but it can also evolve together with the requirements of the community. So this is why we put also a lot of stress on making sure that there is a governance scheme, a process that can allow the protocol to evolve as the users needs evolve, or the protocol developers needs evolve. So in order to get all those things done, we as the Web3 Foundation, we are doing a number of different initiatives. We do some in-house research. We fund different projects like Polkadot in order to bring us closer to this framework for decentralized applications. We do workshops between different teams that work on particular topics. I think last week we did an on-chain governance workshop and an oracles workshop. And in each of those workshops, we had the teams that are kind of the most deeply embedded in each of those topics. So let's say in on-chain governance, we had teams from Cosmos, Tezos, Colony, Aragon, and a bunch of other teams involved, in order to discuss how we can best solve some of the issues that we are facing. And we also work on a number of other communications initiatives. And in the fall, we'll be organizing the Web3 Summit in October in Berlin, and we hope to see you there as well. And many of the protocols from the Web3 stack will be there to speak about how they are contributing to making this framework happen. So thank you. I'll pass it on to the next speaker.